Hey, whoa.
So I was really turned on by what you're doing, and congratulations.
Oh.
I'm so happy that you've grown and you're big and continue doing your thing. You've really, literally done your thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to host you as well.
Thank you.
Welcome. It's the first time we are meeting officially.
Yes.
But I've also been watching a couple of the interviews you've been doing.
Yes.
And I said, I have to bring you, we have to sit down and we have to talk about the government.
Yes.
And then we talk about you.
Yes.
You look like Jomo Kenyatta on a budget. Haujabeba ile harambee hiyo tu. Hii nguo kidogo Jomo Kenyatta. Umechana nywele Jomo Kenyatta. Naona masikio kidogo Jomo Kenyatta. Is there something you're not telling us? Yeah.
Actually, I'm not surprised. This is not the first time I've heard what you said. The truth is, if you look at my father, he's darker. He's like your complexion.
Okay.
As handsome as you look. He would actually come up pictures. I'll send them to you where he would do your hair, his hair like the way you've done, and he would do the line. All right. He was tall, 6'4". He was a very tall, huge kissy man. I'm lighter because my mother is from light lineage.
Okay.
But in general terms, I'm just a local young cheesy boy who grew through a very interesting life. My mother was left with me when she was a young girl at 20. And my father was amongst the airlift team of Obama. So he left for the U.S. with the support of the Obama family, Jaramogi. There was a huge group of people who wanted young men and women to go out and learn. Okay. So my mother was left with me, and my father went, and he stayed for 10 years. In the process, my mother decided to continue their life, and she actually got married to somebody else. So I was left with her as a single child, and she brought me up until when I was literally in Form 1, Form 2. Okay. By that time, my father had come back. He was a minister. And then through the domestic arrangements, then I moved on and started staying with my father. Then my father now picked me up. Then I moved from living in my stepfather, who was an incredibly wonderful man, kept me with him as a primary school teacher. I lived with him at the teacher's compound. I used to cook for the teachers. I mean, my life is as wonderful, as complex as it is. And yet then I move immediately when I'm in Form 1 to Lavington. And I'm exposed to horses. I'm being driven to school in big government cars. And I'm now living in a place where you see Muzungus riding horses and keeping dogs in the evening. And I'm like, what the heck?
Culture shock.
This is better than a Nigerian movie.
Yeah.
And then I finish my high school. Then I go to the University of Nairobi, which was the most shocking experience in my life.
Why?
Because that is when I understood student activism. That is when I met Raila Odinga. That is when I saw the coup of 1982 take place. And that is when I then began to understand our state of affairs.
Okay.
Yes, then I've said this before, that we were arrested and taken to committee, and 2 days before Raila was supposed to be taken to be hanged, we were called, and you could hear the scenes you hear in a movie, katang, 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 steps walking. And we were like, this man is going to be hanged. But he was going to go to court in the morning. So when we saw him in court, we were celebrating in the prison that he didn't get hanged.
Because of the coup?
Yes.
Yo, it was that serious? Yo.
We were in prison as University of Nairobi students for 2.5 years.
Ulikuwa committee for 2.5 years?
Yes.
Like maximum, ama kuna committee ingine?
Maximum. And we were 123. Hey. And 3 guys died after that. Titus Adungo C, who was a student leader, then died. Then it's a whole combination.
Wow.
Yes.
Why do I feel like there are some gray areas you don't want to?
No. I told you,
I
we can.
just-
I am so comfortable with myself. I can discuss anything. Then after that, of course, I finished what I was doing in the US.
Okay.
I landed back in Nairobi, and my father died, and he was a politician. So I'm like, what do I do next? Then slowly, I picked up
Yeah.
from where I left, and I said, of course, family felt I could continue.
Okay.
So I tried, I lost. I tried again, I lost. And the third time, I won.
Which seat?
Member of Parliament of Kitutu Chache.
Twice.
I tried twice, yes, then I won. And I've been there for 4 terms without losing.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Why do you think you lost the first and second term?
I was being trained. The public, contrary to what most politicians think,
Yeah.
the public judges you very well.
Okay.
They see your capacity, they see your ability, and they see your incapability. So when they think you have potential, they will allow you to learn. Yeah. And in the process of learning, then I began now to, every election you run for has different matrices, has different people, and you normally have a different agenda. So when you are going to run, if you don't fulfill the agenda that the public expectation has, you will most probably lose. But if you have a lot of money, you might buy your way through it. But this is my experience.
You didn't have a lot of money.
I didn't have.
Daddy didn't leave no money?
My budget was not more than 800,000 when I won my elections.
But that was like 1900.
That's nice. that's
So that's good money.
That's 2005.
Kumbe si mbali vile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I came into Parliament, and it's been interesting, very interesting. But when I came to the Senate, that's when my life changed. Because I began to see how government works. Because I sit in 3 committees. One is called budget. That is where we do the budgeting and planning for the national revenues. The second committee that I sit in is the one for audit, which is called CPAC, where my chairman is Kajwang. And the other committee I sit in is devolution. So I have 3 committees that actually show you how country governments work or fail.
Okay.
Yes.
That's where you learned the tricks of the trade.
That's when I began to see how we waste money. I began to see how government's ineptitude. I began to see how we actually deliberately, the system we have now has deliberately been broken down systematically for a given purpose. I mean what I'm saying. The system of the socio-political, I will leave religious out of it because the Christians and Muslims and other religions, we have survived very well together. Okay. We have accommodated each other. Okay. But these other systems, the financials, the economic system, the education system, all right, the political system, I could sit here for hours explaining to you. I mean, the reason why we have election fights every 5 years is because we finish elections and start looking for money, which we either look for legitimately or steal, so that then we can start entrenching ourselves, so that then this money is what makes us get elected again. Then after the 5 years, you begin the same thing. So the issue of development, of changing the status of where Kenya is a by the way.
I said it. I called it. Somebody give me $1. I said it. I sat down here with Rapture today.
Yes.
And I told him I've sat down with politicians and these people don't care about us at all.
Absolutely.
You've heard it from the horse's mouth.
And the point I'm making, Obina, is this. Look at education. How can you take so much money and allocate it for allocating bursaries? Who you want, the gatekeepers of these bursaries, are the political class. They are the MCAs, the governors, the senators, the MPs, the deputy president, the president himself. And the total amount of money that they are sharing as bursary is 70 billion. And yet every year, the amount of money we give university students who are 200,000 is only 20 billion. Isn't that abnormal? that this money that we pick that is supposed to help poor students and poor kids from this poor neighbor, that is why we can't come up with a strategy on how to educate our doctors. Most of these doctors come from poor homes. They can't afford 600,000. How can you make a policy like that? Because there is no, these kids' father and mother, their total revenue in a year is 12,000 shillings. And this guy is an A student. So between the poor who are struggling and us who are supposed to know who looks stupid, it's us. Because when the doctor is trained, he doesn't treat you whether you're poor or not. He treats you because that's what his gift is.
Tell the Kisi guys, waende kwao. Yo, I called it. I've seen how some politicians operate. I've sat down with them and I was like, these guys don't care about us at all. It's just about them. How much is for me?
Now,
how much is my take home?
Let me clarify on that.
Yes.
Under the current system, it's very difficult for a politician to have public service, to serve the community, to uplift people who are in poverty, to change the status of Nairobi. I mean, how can you all be well-educated school people who say we are wealth and our budget is 3.3 trillion shillings a year and we are unable to fix how we control our garbage in Nairobi? Is that normal? No, that garbage is the cash cow. That is the number of trips that people make, some fake, some legitimate, delivering garbage which exists or doesn't. And every year, Nairobi City County will spend 26 or 30 billion shillings to collect garbage. And yet the plant which you need to set up on how it collects your glass, collects your all the materials that are toxic and processes them separately, and you do all that, and you still generate clean water, and you get electricity, which can help. And it's only costing 9 billion. But we spend 33 billion to collect garbage in Nairobi. And that's normal to us. I mean, look at yourself, Obina. Get every morning and drive through here. I grew up in this area, truthfully. Look at how many people walk from Kawangware to industrial area just to go and get a living and get paid 600 or 700 shillings. We can't do a tram station, which Governor Sakaja has pronounced can cost 2.3 billion to start. A tram where you charge people 10 bob or 20.
Jump in, hop out.
Yes, and pay with your card. When you need to go to Dubai and get into a tram station for you to see how you can put one in Nairobi. Bring me some more coffee.
Okay. Mama County, he's cooking. Brother is cooking. I hosted Senator Paul Karungo Wathangwa.
Yes.
And he had an amazing idea.
Yes.
That he wants bursary to be taken directly to, was it to schools?
To schools.
You support that idea?
Absolutely.
This thing of, it has to go through a hand of a politician for it to go.
Obina, if you notice when the Gen Zs had come to the streets and I was making my speech, I asked the question, why do we need various bursaries? It's a corruption cartel network. Why is government printing books through private contractors when we have the national government printing press, which can print books, and the government can actually have a printing press in each and every county in Kenya?
It's a possibility.
It's a reality. The only reason why that is happening is because people are keeping the printing of these books so that they make their money. You get?
Yes.
I mean, you can take it down to the county governments. Why are we not having medicines in the hospitals? Obina, oh yeah.
Guys are taking them to their private institutions.
Boss. Kenyan way.
Where? Why are our doctors always and nurses always striking?
Because as a government, we have refused to accept the very basic policy. All right? We must rationalize whether you are going to pay somebody who's a doctor a certain amount of money and give them those benefits so that they cannot leave the country, so that they can work for you. We don't have to pay international rates. A doctor in America earns close to $5,000 a month. We can't afford that. But you see, as a Kenyan doctor, if you give a doctor the good services, you give him a good retention rate, give him his overtime, and allow him to go through his training and comes back and works. That is the system that I grew up in. I saw it working. Why are we destroying it? Because soon you're going to be told we are going to be receiving doctors from India. Because your doctors who are around are not being given the conducive environment where they can work and where their participation is rational as people who are willing to change and develop the country. And there is no country that doesn't care about its engineers or its doctors or its scientists, because these are the people who give us the software that we are supposed to use to run the country. But what we keep dealing with is the hardware. We don't care about the very basic things that are needed in the country. Some of them include, why is it difficult for us to give our people clean water? Because we always steal money for water. I mean, you see what Morara is doing. What Morara is doing is what and I'm not taking any credit for him because I have a lot of respect for him. But this is what I've been saying for the last 4 years. Corrupted budgeting where money even comes from the donors. People are supposed to get water, and all people do is just pay themselves and nothing is done. And it moves on, and it's okay.
And they just breathe and walk amongst us.
And that's normal. And I'm saying it doesn't have to be normal. It doesn't have to be. And I'm not saying this because I'm pontificating and saying, oh, I'm the angel, oh, for God's crown. Let me say Jesus Christ. You know the things I'm saying, I want to be president. Please don't vote for me to be president. I'm just worried as a Kenyan. I am honestly worried.
Me, I'm very worried. I've seen the videos that Morara Kebaso posts. Nearly every week I mention him on the show because I personally like what he does, and I always tell Kenyans, let's all be Morara Kebasos.
Yes, let's all be open-minded.
Hold them accountable, post, talk about it.
Yes.
Then now they can't arrest one person because everybody's talking about it.
Yes.
What I wanted to ask you is this. You guys at the top.
Yes.
Senators, MPs, all the way to the president. Do you guys see the videos that Morara Kebaso posts?
Absolutely.
Then
why
are we not adjusting?
Doesn't matter. What do you want them to adjust? What do you want somebody to adjust who's able to make 2 billion shillings in a month? And nothing happens to them. We take them to church then. What do you want people to do? At least I'm happy these days they don't travel as much as they used to. I'm happy these days we are driving our one Land Cruiser. They are fearing after the Gen Z scenario. But if you see some of the people that leadership is doing, they're despicable. They're sad. Actually, some of them are just silly. I asked one day, why do you need 10,000 acres of land? I mean,
you tell me.
Why don't we ask, we give you 10,000, you build a city. At least it will employ people, then you build industries. Yeah. Like in Tanzania, you go and do a city like Dodoma. I mean, what is this possession we have as a people, particularly the ruling class, where everybody must become rich quickly and have so much that they don't even know what to do with it? And yet, when you look at our people who are destitute, who are downtrodden, who are sick, they depend on 20 bob to survive in a day. That doesn't bother you. Either there's something wrong with me or there's something wrong with the other side. I seem to believe that there's something wrong with the other side. That you can actually develop this country. You can make sure that basic services are allowed. You can have children from poor families go to school and actually go to the top level universities in this country. You can do good roads. Why? We have the capacity, we have the resources, and all you need is good people to make sure that this is what we do. The problem we have is, I think, this is my fear, we've lost all the good people who could stand up and protect this country so that it goes in the right direction.
Talking about in leadership capacities.
Yes.
But you're one of them. You don't believe you're one of the good people?
I
You're not fighting the good fight?
I have tried to carry myself and discuss my politics so that Kenyans can understand that it's not that I'm good. It's just that I'm actually scared that the country is headed in the wrong direction. It's not that I have not participated in corruption activities. I have. I'm a Kenyan. Absolutely.
Ah.
Yes, we are Kenyans.
Umenyorosha kitu
But the
mahali.
reality is, let me give you an example, Bina. See, I've driven from here to Kisii and I'm stopped in Narok. Those police officers stop me. Yeah, they'll always allow me to pass as a senator. But the reality is, if I give him 1,000 bob, it is a bit faster. And it's easier.
That's true.
You understand?
Saves
So
the
my
headache, but
point
that's
is,
corruption.
point is, the young people in this country who are clamoring for good leadership, who are talking about the ideal scenario that Kenya needs to be, must begin to understand, and this is the point I've been making, this country cannot move at the rate at which we are stealing public resources. It's impossible to move. Because 50% of our budgeted revenue, which is 3.33 trillion, which is now, I could say, is about 1.2 or 1.3 trillion shillings, is money that is budgeted for stealing. As a result, we have a budget, we have a debt scenario that we can't manage. In fact, we are borrowing beyond our normal borrowing. We have stopped borrowing for development projects. We are now borrowing to pay debts. And it's through God's grace, at least this is a positive thing I can say about the UDA team, is that the economic fundamentals are okay. Inflation is at 3-4%. You're talking about the price index. Prices have come down a little bit. Fuel, the price has been coming down. But the most critical and fundamental aspect is all this, and you look at our economic growth, we are at 5-6%. But how come nobody's feeling that economic development is taking place? Because the capitalistic elite are consolidating the money and the resources to just a few people. The money is not spreading out.
You're seated in there.
Yes.
Is there hope? Until 2027.
Yes. I believe, and this is another thing which I've been having people ask me questions about this. Why is it that you people did not decide that you're going to let, after the Gen Zs came up, why didn't you let the Ruto government collapse? And Bina, I will say this without any fear of contradiction. The easiest decision anybody can make is to break a house. Building it is incredibly shocking. My argument, and many of us who are talking about good governance and the management of the resources of a country, where we expect fairness, equity, and justice, where we expect that there will be give and take, that when elections take place, a winner doesn't pick everything and take it to his quote-unquote community. And by the way, in this case, people will forgive me if I raise the Gachagua issue, which I'm sure we'll discuss later. The point is that the young generation must begin to engage themselves politically by looking for people who are going to keep their word and who are going to serve them as leadership. It is not easy because it means you are nearly going to start looking for Jesus and his 12 disciples. But it can be done. Other countries have done it.
Okay.
Yes, because Kenya is a country that has incredible potential, fantastic weather. We set up our livestock industry in Botswana for them. We've done that in Malawi. We set up the Rwandese government where we supported them with incredible zeal and support by Paul Kagame by allowing Kenyans to set up their ICT infrastructure, their road network, their education system. And the systems work corruption-free. So how come for us, domestically, when we are now expected to come up to the challenge, we are not up to it? And my conclusion and belief is it starts with the top.
Definitely.
If the top isn't going to stop the corruption, it will percolate all the way to the village mzee at the village level. And that's where we are today. And that is why I keep saying President William Ruto's responsibility, if there's any legacy he's going to leave around, is to make sure that he reduces, minimizes, or stops corruption. Make sure his friends behave in a manner that is going to allow the country grow and prosper without them being the team that basically collects everything and leaves everybody else struggling for themselves.
Okay. I'm hosting Senator for Kisii, Senator Onyonka. Now I want to deviate kidogo. I want us to talk about a couple of things. One, we're going to talk about the airport. We're going to talk about Rigiji. Then we're going to talk about vaccines. Are they killing us? We're going to talk about that. But before that, let me let you know the show is powered by Mozart Bet. I want you to download the app on Play Store, download it on App Store, and get to try your hand on the casino jackpot. 2 million shillings up for grabs. It might just be you. Remember that terms and conditions definitely do apply. Where do we start? Do we start with the airport, Rigiji, or
Whichever
vaccines?
one. Whichever one.
Let's start with the airport.
Thank you.
What's happening? I saw you talk about it, I think, at Lingugi.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. Basically, okay, there's something that the public may not understand.
Yeah.
We had a three-pronged approach to dealing with the airport issue.
Okay.
First of all, as usual, I give the young man who initially brought the story out.
Okay.
It was not easy. Then I have consulted. We work with Umtata, we work with Cherargei when he's in a good mood. We work with Sifuna. I mean, there's a team, Olekina, there's a team of people we consult frequently.
Okay.
And our position is very simple. We are going to deal with the airport issue as legally as it can be done and make sure that we reach its logical conclusion.
Okay.
So when we first started raising the issue, it was purposefully for the public awareness. The second issue was to make sure that Umtata team could go to court, where they are now. And the third option was now for us to go legislative, and that is where we sit in the committee. Me, Sifuna, Umtata, Cherargei, we're about 6 senators who are literally gatekeeping for Kenyans. Our position is very simple. Everything should come out. The law allows us to observe, to interrogate, and analyze the agreement which was signed. And once we realize that that agreement is going to be value for money, like the Rwandese did, they have been given an airport by the Qatari Airlines. That airport is going to cost 1.5 billion US dollars. The airport is going to, the Rwanda Air will receive 40 aeroplanes by the Qataris, brand new aeroplanes, so that they can strengthen Rwanda Air on the African aerospace.
Okay.
And finally, the Qatari government's responsibility is like what the Chinese are doing with the expressway. You set up a system on how you monitor how much money is being paid for, and you receive your revenue.
Okay.
How can you bring a company that is going to employ people we don't know right now? And also, Rwanda Airport, Rwanda Authority has kept their equivalent of Kenya Airports Authority to be running their airports and develop them as they may so wish. We have abdicated that responsibility in this agreement completely. You will not be able to either operate, build, or do anything else with the remaining airports which remain in Kenya. These guys will eventually be the ones who are going to run all the airstrips and airports in the country. They're the ones who will be collecting the revenue, and they're the ones who will determine who they employ. I can't be comfortable with that.
Hold up.
Yes.
Who signed this deal?
Who
Who approved this deal?
The details are in the report of the Senate, where we are waiting for these people to come and tell us who signed. The report is there, by the way.
A normal Kenyan,
yes, went
who
and signed.
cares about fellow Kenyans,
Yes,
sat down and said,
that's okay.
this is dope. Oh,
Yes.
so you're going to own the airport, then
Yes.
no other airport can be operated. You guys are going to operate all the airports and airstrips, We cannot develop it. That's fine.
Yes.
We love this.
And they have
beautiful
not
deal.
told us where they're getting the money from, whether they're borrowing against our title deed or whether they're getting the
First
money.
of all, do they have our title deed?
No.
But were they going to get it?
Yes. Because of the court case, they don't have it.
but they were going to get it.
Yes.
So someone was like, this is a brilliant deal.
Exactly.
I love it.
And what we are saying as we speak, Kenya Airports Authority, in the books of accounts of the airport, I think their figure is, some people will tell you it's about 6 billion to 9 billion. I can tell you that I also have inside information where individuals are telling me the airport does about 24 billion shillings a year. So how do you sell a concern that makes 24 billion shillings a year for somebody who's supposed to keep your airport for 30 years? And that you don't even know how much money they're going to bring in, whether they're building a brand new airport. And if there is anything, they could have gone to Konza and built a new Konza.
All right. So that one is in court.
Yes.
With Senator Okiya Mtata and team.
Yes.
So it's going to come back to you guys.
It will come back to the committee and we'll pronounce ourselves.
Okay.
And I hope that my colleague, the senators, will say that agreement must be null and void, and we must get an agreement. There's nothing, you see, Obina, I've been hearing people talk about, onyonka, they don't want us to have a new airport. No. Give us an airport. Give us our value for money. Preserve Kenya Airways. Pay its debts. Make sure we know how the revenue is going to be collected. The rest, you eat. People just need to stop thinking all of us are stupid. Kenyans are no longer stupid.
Let him cook.
Kenyans are intelligent. Kenyans work in some of the biggest corporations in the world. I have Kenyans already been a president of America. So what is it? You tell me, what is it? There are Kenyans who are working in Boeing. Kenyans are working in Aeroflot. Kenyans are working everywhere in South Africa. How can we have a country that is dysfunctional and we are comfortable with it?
Let's come to the president. Do you think he means well for Kenyans?
I hope so.
Hope is not a strategy.
My honest observation is that you only see somebody's intent by looking at his actions. We have told the president that the abductions need to stop. I am happy that they've reduced. We have told him we need to stop borrowing recklessly. We are saying we want him to be open-minded about what direction our country is taking place. Our responsibility as a people, including myself as a senator, is not for me to be given a job by the president. It's to make sure that the president runs the country effectively, make sure that all Kenyans are included, gives an opportunity for those who are downtrodden, including people with people with disabilities. And a lot of our people who are now having mental issues. And we have the capacity of dealing with our people's problems. And I still do hope, that the purpose of President William Ruto's engagement to become president is for him to change the direction of the country and leave this country better than he found it. My conviction so far is that I haven't seen his deliberate attempt to do certain things. For example, how many times does the president pronounce himself that we need to be anti-corrupt? When has he been seen to be with the ethics and anti-corruption individuals and he's telling them, look, let's try and fix the country because we are in a problem? How many times do we have issues about DPP dropping charges of people who have committed crimes for political reasons? You must decide whether this country is actually going to be a law-abiding country which uses rule of law as its GPS, or you are going to have a banana republic where whoever that wins an election takes over power, controls the judiciary and the legislature, and you do whatever you want, including making yourself the president for life.
Do you think our judiciary is independent?
Yes and no. I have been in a situation where I've seen some judges and magistrates make some very good laws. But I'm not removed from the reality that all these judges and magistrates are children of this environment, where most probably they are also going to be corrupt. Why? Because this society does not respect people of integrity and credibility. This society rewards mediocrity, thievery, and the ability of us to be the ones who are above everybody, where we control the resources, where we roughshod anybody who doesn't listen to it, and if possible, we control political power. And my argument is, this country has to be better than that. I don't think political power and accumulation of wealth in a primitive manner is really what the dream of every Kenyan should be. A Kenyan just needs a good neighborhood where there is rule of law, where there's water, clean water, where the counties and towns are operating, where government resources are used effectively, there are roads which are passable, and everybody is doing their business. That's how I read Kenyans.
That you are not accumulating wealth?
Absolutely not. What I've accumulated from the time I was a member of parliament until now, I can account for it. Otherwise, by now, they would have said how much I've stolen.
What's your net worth?
Maybe 200 million.
Give or
After
take.
being in parliament for 20 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's between old cars, old houses, 2 or 3 small units, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a few things I want to pick your brain on, just quick answers. What's your take on the level of taxes you're being given now?
They're too high because we are double taxing, we are mismanaging the taxes, and when you don't make the public understand why you're taxing them, it is deliberate because you don't want the public to know how much tax they're collecting and where it's going.
There is something I think I've mentioned it before. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think maybe even if the government has nice intentions with the taxes and everything,
yes,
their communication system is terrible.
It's very poor.
It's bad because when they do things like when they were trying to explain the housing bill,
yes,
the housing bill, yeah?
They failed.
The gentleman who was explaining, I was looking, I'm like, nigga,
yeah, let me. I say you're talking about.
Get somebody who can talk.
You're talking about Mr. Hinga, extremely bright man, but is unable to articulate.
My point exactly.
I can tell you this. You know, most people in UDA think that we are so anti-UDA and so against the government, and therefore we say no. I can tell you today, the UDA economic program, even with these challenges, is actually above average. The basic infrastructure for economic development and growth exists. They have managed to control prices. They have managed to reduce the price of fuel. Are you with me? And then as they're trying to get this credit of what they are doing correctly, then they go to SHIF, they collapse it. They go to this other thing called SHA, nonsense. You're talking about affordable housing, nothing is there. So you are like, who is managing these policies for them?
And I was even thinking, sometimes even the guys from the team,
yes,
before they announce something, do they actually think it through and sit down and say, okay, so I want to go and tell them?
Can I give you a secret?
Yeah.
Everybody in UDA knows everything. They don't have an expert.
God damn.
The only expert they have is the president. And if you have you're president of a republic and you are the only one who knows from science into mathematics, into revenue collection,
to geography,
into forestry, and into animal conservation, your brain is going to blow up.
It's too much.
It's too much.
I see some announcements made, and I'm like, yo, you could have told us this next week. You could have thought it through.
Yes.
Just breathe. And I'm just like, yo. But right now, even if the president makes good promises,
yes,
now people believe he's not a man of his word.
That is true.
Because of the precedents that he has set with the previous promises.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, you remember the story for the boy who cried wolf?
Yes.
The president is in that situation now. The guy's like,
but Binai, if I was him, don't look for 10 things. Why don't you effect 2?
Even 1.
I mean, why can't you get an effective university funding model and it succeeds and Kenyans say, phew, thank you, boss.
We are good with this one.
Do that one.
But trying to do everything at the same... These octopus movements, let's do the SHI, let's do the SHA, let's do the housing bill, let's do this, finance bill is
and
here.
Before you finish with Adani, you are at Ketraco. Before you finish, you are at Kengen. Before you finish, you are at Kenya Power. Then you are headed to the port of Mombasa. Lamu has nothing happening right now, and it's a port which is fully finished. The people around the president need to tell him, can we even offer ships to come and land in Lamu for free?
Do you think they don't? Or do you want to believe they don't?
Maybe he doesn't listen. And if you have a leader who doesn't listen, then it's very difficult to govern.
One day, I would really love to sit down with the president one day, and we just sit down, and before the introduction of the show, I'll just say, Mr. President, no hard feelings. The questions that are about to come are coming from a good place, but this is what the ground is saying.
Yes.
And then I let it rip.
He already knows.
No, now you let it rip now in public, so the ones for, okay.
I can tell you today, the Kenya National Intelligence Network is so brilliant. As I'm sitting here, they have this and they're actually streaming it to him. So for me, I'm happy because I'm telling him.
Yeah.
And you are helping me tell him. And there are Kenyans who are saying, this country doesn't have to collapse for us to fix it.
Yeah.
We can fix this country systematically.
Let's patch it up, we
patch it up and move on with it. Because if this country tanks, I can tell you, I've been an assistant minister for foreign affairs. Go to South Sudan. They can't fix.
Yeah.
The most incredibly gifted, most resource-based, the country that has got the food of the Nile, which has got more fish than any oil in Africa can produce. That has got, and yet, these people can't just sit down to say, guys, can't we even catch the fish?
That's true.
So imagine having a country in Nairobi where we are going to start discussing how to manage Nairobi city. And we have militias planning and coordinating, and everybody saying that this is my territory and there's nothing you can do it. We, even if it's as painful as it can be, we must try and make sure we safeguard this country. And the best weapon we have is to use our elections to remove those we don't like from power.
Mr. President, I know probably you're going to get this. Your communication team is failing you. The way they communicate your agendas is terrible. Can be better. Your advisors, also terrible. Or maybe, like he said, you're not listening well enough. You might mean well, but from what we are seeing, what the ground is saying, it is very hostile. I talk to the young people, I meet the young people, I hear the conversation, they whisper to each other. They're just like, yeah, me, I don't want to be abducted, but A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It's not well. It is not well. Like, for example, the SHA thing, nobody likes it.
Yes.
The SHIV thing, nobody likes it.
University
but it's being shoved down our throats. The university funding model, nobody likes it. Even they would think for the HELB.
Yes.
Guys are complaining. And I'm like, yo. Okay, it's fine. Anyway, next question. I was picking your brain on a few things.
Thank you.
It was the housing.
Yes.
The taxes.
Yes.
The affordable housing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have... I don't think there's any government policy that has really confused me like this thing. Let me tell you why.
Kama senator anachanganyikiwa.
Let me tell you
why.
Who
are we?
Let me tell you why. If I was in the president's team, I would have told him this. It is true that Nairobi needs affordable housing in certain development in certain areas where our most vulnerable have been staying. And there could have been a very wonderful model on how you build those houses. For example, you remember there were people who are staying in Botella Estate, and some of them have lived in those houses through generations. What other countries they do, they then build and allocate you a house because of that history. But you then bring in as many people who are of that level of income, and you allow them to then own those houses, but you provide them with the basics, some classes for the kids. You can even do a small shopping center for them and the swimming pool, that kind of thing, so that their lives begin to look like they're normal. Now, once you've done that, the next place where you have a deficit, for example, do you know how many students we have in the universities in Kenya? Let's take the number of 200,000. Out of that number, the housing that we miss in terms of hostels are close to 150,000 hostels in the Republic. And these are people who are taking kids to school who are paying. Why can't the president begin by doing the hostels? finish that deficit so that when kids come from poor homes and they're going, I mean, we are the only country that we take our kids, especially the girl child, and put them through school. And then when they go to university, you tell them, now go into the university, but you can live in the slums. That's normal. All right? Even if it was not a girl child, why must a child who is left high school with poor parents, who has grown through the exercise and going to first year in the university, be then told that the best he can ever do is actually to go a hostel? I went to the University of Nairobi. Of course, it was a lot of time many years ago, but those models worked. We went to university, I carried a bag with 2 shirts and 2 uniforms, two trousers. The university used to do our laundry. We had student centers where we would sit and engage as colleagues, which were sanitized, which were clean. We had our dorms. My hostel where hall 615 where I slept, I remember it till today. We were 2 guys in that room. It was always clean. Every compound area was cleaned up. I mean, when did we decide that we are going to start doing hostels and where university and students live, and we make sure that's where we dump our garbage, make sure everybody urinates next door, and those who can pee there and do whatever they want, they do, and that is normal. How can that be normal? That's what kills me. I mean, ask yourself, how can we take our children and release them to an environment where
that is hostile?
That is hostile.
That's even how they start cohabiting with each other.
I was trying not to say that.
But that's what it happens.
That's what it happens.
Even sexual abuse.
Exactly.
And everything, because now it's a means of survival.
Absolutely.
Somehow
and that can be normal.
Moving forward, our police in Haiti, what's your take in that?
I just saw the Haitian Prime Minister just been kicked out. I had mixed feelings about our troops going to Haiti.
I saw a documentary about a week ago, them being shot at.
That is true.
The guys were throwing the kibuyu and meka mafuta.
Yes.
So when their Humvees are coming through, they throw them from the top, then they light them with fire, with the petrol. I was like, yo.
The very sad scenario is that, one, I am not privy to the agreement that the president signed with Biden. I know that there could have been arm twisting to allow Kenya as a peacekeeping country, because we've done it before. We did it in Namibia, we did it in Angola, we did it in some country in Asia. There's a country we did. We went to Burundi, you remember? We've gone to Eastern Congo. We have been the country that looks like we know what to do. The only problem is Haiti is how many? 6,000, 8,000 kilometers from here. Haiti is a country that speaks French. Kenyans don't. All right? Haiti is a country that needs serious intervention on conflict resolution by making sure that the Haitians, including those warlords and all these people, form a coalition government, which then they will agree to govern Haiti as an outfit. Why? We allowed those people who were the intransigents and the ones who were fighting in Haiti, the warlords and the drug dealers and everything, they established networks and established structures. The problem again with Haiti, and this is where, at a personal level, where the conflict is, do you then assume that the Haitians don't need any support and help from anybody? Or do you then come in, like I think President Ruto was trying to do, become part of the buffer zone, which then hopefully will give an opportunity for these two groups to look for a way, and hopefully, if Kenya had a chance of negotiating a peace settlement within that region. And the reason also for that is that our experience in Somalia, even when it had challenges in terms of our soldiers and troops being killed and the Shabab hitting us here, Somalia has kind of stabilized, if you look. It is kind of eased off. And most probably that is a success, but the success that we would have. But my honest observation is that Haiti is a very dicey situation. And at the same time, I don't know what President Trump is going to do because he's taken over now. And he might decide to tell Kenya to, even when we are, quote unquote, being there because of the UN auspices, he might just decide the US is not going to fund Kenya and Kenyans can go back.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk Rigi G.
Yes.
I don't know how true this is. I haven't verified it. That is an oversight on my end.
Yes.
But I was informed that you voted yes.
Yes.
For Rigi G's ousting.
Yes. You're being very polite.
Yeah.
Which is good. Now let me answer you.
Okay.
What did you want me to vote for or against Rigi G about?
No, I didn't want nothing. I'm just saying what I was told.
I
so
actually voted. There were 7 charges. 3 charges I voted against Rigi G, and 4 I voted to acquit him.
Okay.
Yes.
Which one did you vote for him?
The one of talking about the mountain.
Okay.
All right. Let me give you my history on this matter. I looked at the comments. I even listened to when my colleague was sitting here, but I'll not personalize it or raise it as an issue. When did I start commenting about Rigi G? It was by 2023.
Okay.
And that is when Rigi G would stand up. We came to Kisii and he told us. He said, as far as I'm concerned, for those of you who did not vote for us, we have agreed that this is a company and the shares are going to be shared amongst us. And I stood up in that function and I told him, I said, I thought we had a nation state where even when some of you might win elections, you will still continue opening up spaces and allowing other Kenyans who did not vote for you to share the state resources. Why? Because they are taxpayers. And if you are talking about that people must decide to vote for a team which, if it wins, then it exclusively removes any other person who didn't support them out of the table, my argument is that is a sign of a bad leader. I said that on TV and I said that in public. The next time we came up was when I was with Rigi G, and he again raised the same issue. Okay? Number 3, Kenyans have to remember that before the Gen Zs came up, and even right now, I am still a member of the ODM party, and ODM had a political position on this matter. And it had nothing to do with me being given money or me being influenced so that I could vote in a certain manner. The reason is this: if certain people feel that I was given money to vote against Mr. Gachagua, then I think they should also advise him to look for more money so that he can buy me, so that I don't vote for the side I voted for. Number 3, when you are in the Senate, there are things you listen to. Sometimes you articulate them on the floor of the House. Sometimes you don't, because some of them have personal implications, some of them have national implications, some of them have community implications. Let me now tell you one thing. Amongst the senators who refused to vote for Mr. Kavogo from Central, one of them is his relative and is his brother-in-law. The things he told us about Honorable Gachagua and the family of his brother, that is what made me vote against him.
Who told you?
Gashagua's brother-in-law, who is the senator for Nyeri.
He gave you inside information?
Absolutely.
Bad ones?
Absolutely. And that is how I made my decision.
So it wasn't trying to do the money in the boot?
No. The money sometimes you are given, you eat, and you still vote the opposite. What are you saying? We are Kenyans. What is this you guys are pretending? We are not angels. The money you kula. There are times people in the Senate there and the members of, they eat the money. They vote the opposite. This had nothing to do with money.
So someone basically just badmouthed Rigi G and then you decided to follow through and said, yeah.
Negative. Yeah. This is somebody who's married his sister-in-law. And I can do an affidavit to that and table it. I wanted to say that on the floor, that day on the floor, and I wasn't allowed.
Thank God for being a show live. Now you've done it. So basically you are
Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what moral position you take. It is completely unconscionable for you to take your brother's assets and disinherit his family and hand those assets to yourselves and other people.
God
Okay,
damn.
so I will tell you today, before Karungo can come and say here I was given money, let him come and tell you who is the brother-in-law to Mr. Gachagua who told us those things in the Senate.
He's serving hot tea. God damn. Wow.
Can you guys give me some more coffee, please? Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to give you a lot of coffee. If this is what it takes, yo, let's get a big jug.
And
Wow.
Obina, I don't lie. Pick every single thing I say, spot on, for the last 5 years of my political life. I don't lie. You don't have to give me money to lie. Or you don't have to give me money to praise you. Because you see where I am today. Let me tell you something, Obina. People ask me, why do I say these things I speak? I say, what is it that I have to lose right now? I have children. I'm not rich. I'm not poor. I'm not asking for anything. I'm healthy. Isn't it wonderful for me to tell Kenyans what is wrong with us? If there's a need, they fix it. If they think it's useless, leave it.
Yeah.
But because my job, Obina, me, I have no CDF. Me, I don't have county government funds. My job is to talk. Baba.
You and I both.
Bobby, we talk, Baba. We talk. And you know when you talk.
Talk for a living.
Baba, I talk.
Hey.
Yeah.
You talk where?
Where?
Hey, you go say everything.
I will talk and talk.
You just say the former, the deputy president.
Yeah.
Go disinherit the relatives of
the
people.
problem
collect all the
let me
inheritance.
tell you, last point. The issue is not about whether it is inherited or did not. The problem is where did Gachagua come from? That's President Ruto's BFF. So why you want me to solve their problem for them? Why you want? Why?
Sorry.
Why you want me?
Biko, calm down.
I ask
calm
you,
down.
I chill
calm
out
down.
now.
Breathe.
I listen to this, Papa. I will tell you this.
Yeah.
Why you want to tell me? Here's a man. 2 years ago, we told this man, you know, this man, he will mess you up. The baby say, hey, Papa, baby go have dollar. Go to Lagos. Take me to Abuja. Abuja, he buy me a whole
Show me good life.
Yeah, he do me a flat. He talk about beautiful things. He take me to Miami, Monaco. We buy shit. And after 2 years, this guy is telling me, oh, my husband is a piece of shit. You know, he go do. He does anything. He bang me. He's just a terrible. He talk. Now you want to tell me I come and sort out your mess which you created.
Go dance to the tune of your
Sort
music.
it out yourself.
Nonsense.
I was not there when you met. Was I there when you met?
No, you are not
so
there.
Why you bring me into your business?
This will not be my business.
Village labor propaganda. Why
I
you
collect the money and say go.
Kill each other if you want.
But let me ask you,
yes.
on the real though.
Yes.
What do you think was the difference between the president and the deputy?
None. They were just fighting over the loot. The DP was grabbing too much of it. The president is worried about that. They're fighting over your state resources. Is that crazy stuff you're hearing now?
It was not because Rigiji is tribalist. Oh, it's gone to Markiti speaking.
Tribally is the consequence of the accumulation of the primitive wealth. You create too much noise. Why you think every year in Kenya, every 5 years, why is it president, deputy, they fight? 5 years more. Go, Kenyatta Jaramogi, they fight. Kenyatta Murumbi, they fight. Moi come in. Moi fight with who? Kibaki. Why Moi fight with who again? Karanja. He get rid of them. Moi then he comes up. Kaunye they pick. Kaunye picks this thing, he hands over. William, before he can touch the ball, he has run with it. Kaunye is checking out, looking, the ball has gone under the feet.
Wait, who is Kaunye?
UK Kenyatta. What do you tell me now? Every 5 years, president and deputy, they go fight. What they fight about is
money.
the money.
Money,
Naira Papa.
dollars.
They say you are eating too much. The other one is saying, no, you are eating without manners. Chill down. I give you a little small. He said, no.
I don't want small.
I don't want
the big
small.
dollar.
I want the big dollar.
I want to sit at the table.
I take the whole airport.
Place.
I take the airport, Papa. I can say Lake Victoria. What do you talk about?
Hi. So the all the wahala that is here is just about the resources.
Bro, please let me say in front of your people who listen to you.
Okay.
The problem with Kenyan governance has nothing to do with whatever you want to talk about. It is about how people plan, coordinate, organize to win elections. They take these elections to be the barometer, which they use then to take the state resources, which then they arrange amongst themselves how they are going to share the resources. The reason why they disagree is because the program, the formula, you take a quarter or 50 or 90, I take 10. That is what the fight is about.
Nothing but the truth.
So help you God.
Oh, so help you God. All right. Let me now do a segue into the vaccines. Just before that, let me talk to you about two things. One, Goldchild Media Institute. What I do over here is production, video production, photography. You want some audio production, music production, DJing classes. Goldchild Media Institute is the place to be. Go over there or get your child over there. January intake is ongoing because December is already with us. And I've been telling you guys this thing over and over and over again. You don't have to take a whole year. You don't have to take 2 years, 3 years. Within 2-3 months, you're already a professional. Goldchild Media Institute is the place to be. Another thing that you need to get in touch with are the offers that are happening at Dignity Furniture. All right? Dignity Furniture have amazing offers starting on the 15th of November. All right. So Changamuka mapema ndo best. They have slashed their prices like crazy. Recliner seats from 129,000. Just imagine a full set of recliner seats, 129 G's. That thing would cost like 200 plus. All right. Fabric sofas from 99,000. Think about it. We have dining sets from 69,000, queen size beds from 45,000, king size beds from 50,000, and many more. Carpets, those things are like half price. So rush to Dignity Furniture mapema, angalia, then book. Ikifika 15th, kuja na pesako, pap on the table, put your money where your mouth is. Then when ufanish hiyo nyumba, acha kukaa chini kwa floor na macarpet pale ziko half price. So Dignity Furniture, wako pale Broadwalk Mall in Parklands. There's another one in Clay City, Thika Road. There's another one in Langata. There's another one in Syokimau. Changamka, check them online, DM them. Anza kuangalia mapema mioni Obina amekutuma from 15th. They have some crazy offers. The December sale is here. The Christmas sale is here. The holiday sale is here. Go and grab your furniture from Dignity Furniture. Remember, ni vitu zimeimportiwa, si kitu natengenezwa chini ya mti ati hiyo rangi imejipaka vibaya. For this particular episode, we are serving hot tea. Kahawa zimekunywa ka 15. Hosting Senator Onyonka. I liked him a lot from what I was watching online because he was just speaking. I was like, yo, this is my kind of G. Then I've met him today, and it's the same guy. And I'm like, okay, Obina, tomorrow you're going to get some. Yo, Davido, that disclaimer, he go in a blink, kwa screen. Everything said on this particular show is nothing but...
Yes.
Yo, where?
Are you...
Bro, you're spilling all the beans.
No, Obina, let me say this. I come from a very lucky space.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me? And that lucky space is that I've been on both sides. I totally understand what our involvement as leadership needs to be, because the truth and the reality is that my fear, and this is my deepest fear, is that, and I was shocked the other day when Honorable, the new DP said he didn't understand what was more important, whether it was self-interest
I saw this story,
or whether self-interest needs to be protected if it is going to destroy the public interest. What he's actually saying is whether we need to violate rights against people if we feel they violated the law. And what I would like to tell him is this: yes, it is public interest that is more important than personal interest. But if you disregard to safeguard the interest of the public and going down into the individual rights, then you violated the Constitution. In other words, you don't take me and go and kill me to justify that you were killing me, that I was trying to topple the government. Allow another party to make that decision. That is what the courts are supposed to do. Don't have extrajudicial killings against me because I'm talking to you as government and you feel that I might be making your government unpopular. Come and defend your position because you have the right of reply.
Yeah.
That is what civilized societies do.
Wow. Let's go into the vaccines. Are they killing us?
Honestly, because I'm not a scientist, I'll only tell you this. I got vaccinated after COVID.
Okay.
I've never had any challenges. I've never had any issues. I don't know whether vaccines have been modified to change our DNA, the usual stuff that you see.
Okay.
I wouldn't successfully and effectively answer that question.
Okay.
Yes.
Haya, sasa mulete maswali sasa zile munataka kuuliza. Let's get some wise counsel. Jesus Protect is asking, does Onyonka agree with our Baba going for AU chair? And if he fails, what is likely his next move?
Thank you.
You are ODM member, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah. I want to say this. There isn't a person that I've associated myself with. You remember during the coalition government, I was serving as a deputy minister under Raila's nomination, and I've worked with him. There is no politician in this republic who has a magnanimous heart and a reason. I mean, I have sat in 2007 where guys were telling Raila, let us pick guns and go and kill one community because they have violated us. I sat there and I heard Raila say, let us not shed any more blood. I sat there. That is how you know the difference between a nationalist and a crackhead. Even when I have made those comments about my leader, I still feel that we are in foreign ground, our team. We don't know whether we are in government, so that I keep saying how the government is a good government and how they are doing wonderful things. Or I don't know whether I should remain in the opposition and say how the government is failing, which are some of my members in it. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to remain a member of the opposition. I'll be criticizing the government with my colleagues who are in government. If my colleagues participate in messing up this government where they have joined, I will call them out. That's my position. If the party decides then to either challenge me or punish me or criticize me, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yes.
So the AU chair?
The AU chair, I believe he would make an AU chair. How I wished he would have done it when he was younger, but you can't change that. And number two, I don't know whether the Western, the French backup of the Djibouti minister, who's quite popular, and the Francophone countries. And yet I know that from West Africa, Giacomo already has about 9 West African countries that are French-speaking. And because of the dynamism of the global politics, from Trump to whatever, there's a likelihood that some people might decide. And also, it was actually East Africa's turn. And for me, the most significant scenario out of this support that the Prime Minister is getting is the fact that Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, the East African community has actually supported. That was very important. Now, whether he will have the numbers as of yet, it's too early to call. But so far, they are doing well. I think they're moving in the right direction.
Okay.
Yes.
What exactly is ailing KTRH? And that's Michu 254. KTRH, is that like Kisi?
Kisi Teaching and Referral Hospital.
Yeah.
How I wish I wasn't going to discuss this, because then it means I'm directly attacking my governor, who is Mr. Simba. Their hospital is not running well. You have various challenges. We've been calling the governor to come so that we can ask him questions. He has not come. I hope he'll come to Nairobi tomorrow. The beds have a problem. There are leakages all over the place. It's an issue. And how I wish I didn't say more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
His view on how money is not reaching out to the county governments.
Thank you. In the setting up of what is called the PFM Act, there's a loophole which has been left. They set it up in such a manner that government would collect revenue. We, as the Senate, would then pick the budgets which the county governments have gone through, and then we would have revenue allocation done. And then deliberately, once we've done that and it's effected, for example, as from February, March next year, the money should flow until June, July, and then the whole exercise runs. The problem is the Treasury and the national government sometimes decides to be mischievous because they have a gap. And that is what we are trying to close in the Senate. We want to create a scenario where there is no space where money for the county governments can be delayed by the national government, because the government is a going concern. All right, so you can't argue that, oh, there's money delay from the exchequer. It means you are actually running a completely dysfunctional state machinery. So we want to change it in such a manner that even when this money is not available for that short period of time, we can even agree for the central bank to actually have domestic borrowing to fit in. Like the amount of money we are supposed to give the county is 400 billion. The money which they may need for that gap of 3 months or so, which doesn't come until the next financial year, we can actually factor it in for that 3 months, and the county government will receive the money and they pay the salaries and the counties move on. It's a technical hitch which has been abused, which was not seen when the constitution and the subsequent laws were being executed.
Okay. This is a tricky one. His
No,
prediction on
ask-
the next interior cabinet.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
And I know why somebody is asking that question. Because they know that Fred Matiang'i is really my very good friend. And they wish I would pronounce his name. He's not in government. I don't think that President Ruto would call him back. But how I wish that the president would actually agree with Jacom. They actually stop forming a broad-based government, but they form a coalition government, which includes all the critical, prominent Kenyan politicians who have been known to perform, who will be given targets, and then have a very balanced approach. Because this country, you see, my worry is this. You can decide to run this government with 2 or 3 communities of this country. And you can decide to run this country with everybody. And I saw, most people give President Kibaki, yes, because of his capacity, his level of education, and his management style. He was basically a delegator. President Kibaki would send me to Juba, but give me an officer who would guide me. And if we had challenges, we would call him back. You see, he would delegate. They would allow me to sign what is called a note verbal, which I carry like a power of attorney, which I carry as a minister. Then I go and say on behalf of the Kenyan government. Now, the truth is, government doesn't seem to be running. I mean, everybody's like stopped. Everybody's waiting to hear what the president says, what the president people are saying, and how I wish the president would just delegate people. Tell the Ministry of Education, proceed.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. If that's the policy you're doing, make sure you give me results. I want this in 2 months. That's what I want. Industry, can you give me this?
Keep it legal.
Yes. Can you tell me why the port of Mombasa is on? Every single person of government who is supposed to go and check and see what needs to be fixed is making deals. Somebody goes to the port as a board member, they're talking about deals. When they want to go to Ketepa about coffee, tea, they want deals. Guys are open. The same people who are running the tea industry, officers of government in the Ministry of Agriculture, are the ones who have set up companies that are auctioning tea in Mombasa. How do you change the matrix? You can't. When everybody is a dealer, you can't change it. Because self-interest is bigger than national interest.
Yep. What was your take, by the way, on the inclusion of ODM guys into the government? Because, initially,
Yes.
ODM was very against the government.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, a few ODM people were put in some spaces. Then all of a sudden, everybody's like, woohoo!
Yes.
What is your take
The
on that?
who was the celebratory mood and feeling we make when we think our tribe is a beneficiary of this large
Piece of
cake
cake.
that is coming.
Yeah.
But my honest observation is that I believe that our party meant well. The party leader most probably meant well. I hope John Badi, who's my friend, will make sure that some of the mistakes which have been there before, I really pray that he'll be able to influence so that certain things are brought to the center and we make sure that this country, even with its problems, can continue moving. If they participate in the cartelling, they participate in the collection of the loot and sharing with this primitive accumulation of this thing where people want to have acres of land, buying houses in Dubai, others are buying in Spain, some of them want to buy football teams in Europe. We will announce ourselves appropriately and accordingly at the right time and as frequently as possible.
Two last questions. One, are you guys planning to impeach Sakaja?
One, I don't know. Two, I hope they don't. Three, I hope Sakaja could listen and try and fix Nairobi.
Okay.
The truth is, Sakaja is my friend. I have really had utmost respect for him.
Yeah.
But I sit in the Senate, I see what is happening in Nairobi County. I'm convinced that indeed Nairobi is too big for one individual. Nairobi has to be split into boroughs because Nairobi is supposed to be collecting from the estimates that we have done from the controller budget, CRA, and the Auditor General and everybody. The amount of money that Nairobi as a city county should collect per year is 100 billion. We are at 12 billion a year.
The rest is...
All right? If you see what Alai was saying and the other MCAs in Nairobi, I really think, with all honesty and sincerity, that Sakaja needs to come up and listen to those MCAs. Let him be open about who collects revenue, how much this money is. Let him discuss with the MCAs and tell them why. Because the truth is, Obina, I swear in the name of God, some of those things you see them, you just shudder. This country has money. Obina, have you ever seen invoices? 200 million, 200 million, 236 times. 3 companies in a month.
Huh?
Hey, Baba. Baba, you see that money in pictures. You look at the numbers, you're like 200 million. Okay, this is only last week, yes. Yes. And the other week,
And it's
yes.
been paid.
Hey, Papa, why not? Prompt.
Damn.
You see, and this is why I keep saying, somebody somewhere needs to come and look at our problems with the determination and the thought that, yes, I mean, Obina, let me just be honest with people. You can make money and be rich, but how much do you need to make, surely? I mean, how much? I mean, you tell me, why are we unable to collect garbage? Yet you go through class 3, you're talking about cleaning toilets.
Why do we still have traffic?
Yes, why we have... I mean, I was telling somebody, if I was President Ruto, the whole of Nairobi, you see the expressway, just do a damn ring around Nairobi. Doesn't have to do anything as president. He'll have a legacy. Take it to Ongatarongai, go round, come through Kalen, go round, go to airport, cross over, go down to Ruiru, come out of Limuru and go back to Karen. And then link it with the one which is coming from Mulolongo. What? That thing cannot cost more than 40 billion shillings. That's what we steal.
You want to?
That's what we steal in a month.
Huh?
Hey, Papa.
Kenya or Nairobi?
Kenya, Baba. If you want it to be paid in dollars, they bring it to you in dollars. What?
Speaking of billions, your fellow senator just bought a brand new Bentley. I think that's Bentley Bentayga.
But that's normal.
Where's yours?
I drive an old car that I've had for 12 years. The most wonderful car in the world. It has never died.
Which one?
It's a V8 old model. 2002 model. It is so nice. If I give it to you, even your wife will clap for you, Baba. It is nice. Looks like old money.
But I don't got no old money. I'm even here to get rid of the new money. But I'm like, and guys are buying Bentleys. I'm just like, yo, guys, chill. Let us breathe, man. We're still trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Obina, those cars mean nothing. Fall sick and have cancer and call me you have a Bentley. You cry like a baby. Oh. What did help you? But you see, if you're taking the money, you're buying a Bentley and you build a local clinic in your village, oh, those people who are going to cry there when you die, they bury you. True?
Higher.
Oh, in that case, buy an aeroplane.
People got money in this country, bro. Me, I've met some people with some machines and some houses I've gone to. I'm just like, yo. When you get to a house and all the glasses are bulletproof.
It's true.
I'm like, bro, what are you? Who's trying to kill you? Like,
but I'll ask you a question. Why do you see people walking around with 16 bodyguards? What is it? I mean, no. Oga, we talk now. What is it you're walking around with 16 people watching over you? Whose food have you eaten? What are you fearing? Okay, when you die, once you die.
Clearly 16 enemies.
You've eaten their gold, you've eaten their everything. You want to run away. That is the contradiction that petrifies me about our country. That we are now glorifying wealth, quick gained wealth. We are glorifying bad governance. So long as you're able to beat the system, that is the standard that we are setting for our generations. And my argument is that can't be the standard. Kenyans are more loving, we are more kind, we've grown up under our adversity, with our tribalism, with our everything, but we have always taken care of each other. That is something I believe. I don't know whether I'm right or I'm wrong.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as we conclude,
yes.
Now something that is close to my heart.
Yes.
The creative economy. Let's talk sports. Let's talk talents. Let's talk what I do, comedy, music, dance, our culture.
Thank you.
We are losing them at a fast rate. First of all, our culture. We no longer have cultural sites that are as loud as they used to be. And also our talents in Akanyagiwa, they are not supported. We don't have structures that are organized. Our athletes are dying poor. And I mean, look at Congestina, man. Look at Dennis Oliech. Look at Kadenge Nampira. Like we have our athletes, they go represent us, they do the marathons and everything, they come back. Nobody dares to give them financial literacy classes. And in a month or in a year or two, they're back to where they began. Like we're just in that loop. And these are like exports that can put...
Because all those things you are talking are a consequence of this dysfunctional system, which has been deliberately broken down, where when athletes are supposed to go and run, whether it's the Olympics or they're doing some marathon event, whoever that is supposed to be going or supporting them, the agenda is for them to fleece and make money out of them. The reason why Kenyan football has failed is because the people who are running the game are not interested in the game. They're interested in the money that the game brings. They're interested to see who is going to be the first person that they're going to bring as a betting company to support their team. And yet this is a betting company that is going to make your children more dependable on betting and relying on this superficial thought of getting rich quick. That you have a country, instead of us developing our football stadiums, we use those stadiums as arrangements where we actually cipher off and steal public funds from the... That is what Morara has been laying out. These are things we've been talking about for the last 10 years. That this is a country that has got Eldoret, one of the most beautiful towns, which has got an amazing potential from St. Patrick's Iten to Moiben to wherever you want to go, where right now, instead of bringing individuals to come and invest and build touristic sports hotels and sports villages to employ our people, the leadership is busy grabbing and accumulating properties and land around Eldoret so that they can build things which they may not even finish building. That's your country. That's what makes me get angry. Are you angry?
Very.
Please do get angry.
Let's talk solutions.
Solutions?
What do we do? From your senator perspective,
Thank you.
Information you have,
Yes.
the knowledge you've garnered, what do we do?
I wish you could say until 1 o'clock in the morning. Can we do that for the next topic? We start for the solutions.
Okay.
Because if I start right now, I'll start ranting. But the only thing I've discovered, unless we stop the wanton misuse and wastage of public resources and disregarding the demands for our poor people, especially the most vulnerable. And I